Today's book receives an award in the history of Rev Reads reviews. This is the darkest title of any book that I have reviewed. And that title is, How Should We Then Die? And while the book covers a admittedly dark topic, physician-assisted death, or what is referred to as MAID in Canada, medical assistance in dying, this is one of those topics that is dark and difficult, but I see it as very important. We in America, and I say this should probably apply to pretty much every other country in the world, no countries in the world should desire to follow Canada's lead on the issue of the legalization and at times government encouragement for suicide, the taking of one's own life through the help of a physician. But How Should We Then Die is not a book that is one that a reader should dread or fear, covering such a dark topic, but Ewan Goligher is here to shine a light on this issue and to help provide the reader with both hope for those who are considering taking their own life through the help of a physician, and also for those who are arguing on behalf of this issue for the sanctity of all human life. And I believe Dr. Goligher is really the ideal author for a book on this topic. He is a Canadian physician with degrees from the universities of British Columbia and Toronto, who is a teaching professor that practices critical medical care and helps families make those difficult to navigate end-of-life decisions. This book was published by Lexham Press in 2024, and I thank the publisher for producing a book that, while it's probably not going to fly off the shelves with tons of copies being sold, at the same time, this is a really important book that should be read more widely than it probably will be. So if you have a few moments, I would love to share with you a little bit more about How Should We Then Die? And some of Dr. Goligher's arguments against physician-assisted suicide. Welcome to Rev Reads. If you want to discover more books that will help you to learn more about the crucial issues for today, please subscribe to the channel in order to stay up to date with the most current reviews. And also, please like and share this video with others. If this topic is important for you, share the work of Dr. Ewan Goligher with others. Goligher's book begins with discussing the importance of this question. Why should we even have an opinion on another person's decision to end their own life with the help of a physician? Why is it worth taking up this issue and making it a passion that we support? And then following looking at the why question, then he looks at the reasons people have that are seeking doctors to end their lives. And this was the section of this book that probably surprised me the most. I would have assumed that the top reason that most people were seeking physician-assisted death was because they were suffering with unbearable pain, just tons of physical agony that I would not be able to understand or relate to. Turns out that's wrong. 90% of people who are seeking physician-assisted death say that it is the loss of autonomy coupled with an inability to engage in enjoyable activities. So it's a loss of personal control or a loss of purpose to do what I enjoy that is causing people to seek out their own deaths. Actually, less than 30% of people complain about physical pain, with Dr. Goligher also commenting that many of those people probably could receive better care to manage their pain instead of choosing to end their lives. But people aren't committing suicide. They aren't taking this route because they can't handle physical pain, but instead it's because they want to maintain personal autonomy and not rely upon others. So for me then, this shifts the entire focus. Now we're talking about people who need help finding purpose, finding enjoyment, even when their physical and mental capacities have been diminished. This is a goal that I believe is attainable, and it is attainable through the simple means of faith and family. It's also interesting that the vast majority of those who are seeking physician-assisted suicide are white and rich, which again shows that this is more of a quality of life issue and not about those who are suffering with these unbearable loads of pain upon them. So what we need to do here is we need to bring purpose and hope and value to those who have lost it in their lives, which is why, as Dr. Goligher rightly points out, the gospel should be the foremost tool to help those who are suffering and considering an end to their lives. Now, the majority of this book covers 10 arguments that are made by Dr. Goligher on why we should oppose physician-assisted death or why it is unethical. I'm not going to go over all 10 of these in the review. I just want to provide a couple as samples. The first reason that physician-assisted death is wrong is that it is not physician care. It is aimed at causing the death of a patient. It breaks the foundational principle for the practice of medicine, and that is to do no harm. Second, physician-assisted death denies the intrinsic value that people possess and denigrates them to only holding extrinsic value. Physician-assisted suicide makes a judgment that people are only valuable as long as they can contribute, and a person can work themselves to bring joy to themselves and joy to others. But intrinsic value comes and says people are important and they're worthwhile even if they come to the point in their life where they can't contribute. Even when they are being served, instead of serving, they still hold value. And I think that that is a crucial distinction to hold. A third reason is that using death as a remedy for suffering presumes that the physician knows what it is like for a person to be dead. They do not. Physicians cannot know based off of scientific testing what it will be like for that person when they die. What happens to a person after death is instead a question for religion and faith, not medicine and science. The assumption brought about by many in the modern medical class is that when a person dies, they return to some form of nothingness. But they have no way to prove that case. They are making a faith judgment when they end a person's life to assume that their death will be better than their current state of hopelessness. But in reality, a physician is in no place to make that judgment. The final example that I want to bring up from the 10 that are included in this book is that we receive true meaning and significance in the life, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus Christ. The good doctor who wrote this book ties the hope that a person can have to the gospel. And Christians should seek to do everything for people so that they can enjoy that hope and that grace of the gospel. Those seeking to end their life can find the hope that they are so desperate to experience, that seems so far out of reach. That hope is available for them, and it's within reach through faith in Jesus Christ and his good news. Jesus can give us all meaning and an eternal hope. He can give us a worth even while we're being served by others in physical and mental weaknesses. I believe How Should We Then Die is a very important book. And I think it is one that should be read widely in the church right now, so that we can both protect our neighbors from those who will try to deceive them with the nothingness of physician-assisted death, and then also to provide them hope in the gospel. So I want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Goligher in writing this book and Lexham Press in releasing it to the public.